Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you all join us today to learn about the power of ChatGPT, large language models, and generative AI, and their potential impact on your business. My name is Kaushalya Gunatilaka, and I'm the Head of Partnerships and Community at Boab AI. For those of you who don't know about Boab, what we do is we have invested in 20 AI companies to date with an aggregated company value of over $365 million. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Prem Naraindas, who is the founder and CEO at Katonic.ai. Hi, Prem.
Hi,
And we
Cass.
also have, hello, and we also have Andrew Lai, who is a managing director at Boab AI. Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
All right, so welcome to you both. I'd like to now hand it over to Andrew, who will be interviewing Prem to discuss what Katonic.ai does and the opportunities that it can provide to your business. So handing it over to you, Andrew and Prem.
Thank you so much for the generous introduction, Kash, and welcome, Prem. It's a pleasure to have you here with us and chatting about generative AI. So just to begin with, Prem, can you tell us a little bit about what generative AI is for those that aren't aware, and also why should businesses be interested in it?
Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's generative AI is very exciting. I'm sure all of you would have heard of generative AI. And I think generative AI essentially became popular after ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT was launched in November, and within 2 months, it was able to acquire 100 million customers, and it took Uber about almost 7 years to get 100 million, and ChatGPT got 100 million in 2 months. That's because what ChatGPT essentially did, and AI has been from a while, right? I mean, even Katonic has been in the business of AI from 3 years, but essentially what's different now is generative AI is very different because it mimics the human behavior, right? So if you look at ChatGPT, you don't need to be a programmer to get benefit from AI. So earlier you had to be a programmer, you had to code, you had to do a lot of things before you could get value from AI. But now with ChatGPT, it was a normal conversation you have, and then the ChatGPT essentially. So the magic about ChatGPT is essentially the way human brain works, right? So in a similar concepts in AI, there is something called neural network. And how ChatGPT is essentially built is very similar to how humans are built. So there's a neural network which has a lot of neurons very similar to humans, and it is trained on a lot of data, essentially like what we learn over experiences and looking at things. And you then have something which mimics humans, and when you ask for a certain question, it is able to answer in a human-like fashion. And while ChatGPT is something which does on the text, there are many other models in the market. One of my favorite is Stable Diffusion, which is around image. There are models for video. There is models around audio. So there's a lot of good things out there which mimics humans, and that's what is really causing this disruption. And everybody's looking at using generative AI. So that's how I would probably explain somebody non-technical, Andrew. Yeah.
Now, fantastic. Thank you for that explanation, Prem. And then in terms of Katonic.ai, how does Katonic.ai's generative AI product fit into all of this?
Absolutely. Look, Katonic was born with an intent to help organizations get value from AI. So we've been in the business from 3 years. We had a machine learning operations platform which was helping banks, insurers, real estate companies get value out of it. But as industry is evolving, if you see, now whatever AI which we were working on, now it is called traditional AI, right? So before AI, the focus was more on human automation. So it was more about how do we use technology to automate things and reduce the amount of mundane work which humans were doing. Then with traditional AI, right, not generative AI is more now, right? With traditional AI, the focus was more on how do we augment humans to make better decisions, right? And now with generative AI, it is more around how do we help humans be more productive, right? And that's what is very exciting. So definitely, while we are in the business of helping organizations augment decision making using AI, traditional AI, we have also started making investments and pivoted towards generative AI, where now you will be able to build applications and get value out of Katonic to improve your productivity. And I'll talk a little more about it as we speak, Andrew. Yeah.
Look, that sounds excellent. And just so that we can understand it at a grassroots level, what are some examples of what the product can do?
Look, see, if you look at generative AI, while there are many use cases it can do. I think you should look at from a category perspective, right? So generative AI can generate things, right? It is in the name itself. So it can generate new ideas. So you can use generative AI for ideation. So you can even ask the baby names, right? You can ask the name of your business. You can ask for ideas to write a blog. So that's generation, right? So it helps you generate. So there are use cases for marketing, there are use cases across, depending on the domain and the role you play. Then there is classification, right? So classification is essentially using generative AI to do sentiment analysis, using AI, generative AI to understand, classify if it is a particular, so you can use for classification, you can use for ideation, like I said, then you can use for extraction, right? So if you have a lot of data and if you want to extract certain information from that, it would take months and years to build this capability many years back. But now with generative AI, just through if you can convert, if you can have a conversation in English, you can actually build an AI generative AI app, right, on Katonic. So you can now extract data from various reports. It could be in different structures. More importantly, you can have question and answer and conversation on the data, right? So you can have heaps of data which is in your knowledge repository in the enterprise. You can then use generative AI to ask questions around it, help you write emails, and also search, right? So there's so much of data organizations have this. Many organizations are not able to use because it is dark data, it is hiding somewhere. So you can use generative AI for searching, which can give you question and answer, but also give you reference to where the data is lying, so that you can discover the data as well. So essentially Q&A, right? Search, classification, ideation, generation, extraction. This is how you should look at from a use case perspective. And I hope that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wow, that sounds really versatile. I mean, this is obviously just the beginning of generative AI. Where do you think your generative AI product will eventually head?
Yeah, look, we have like one of the CEO of a large organization said, if you can have a conversation in English, you can be an AI developer, and we've taken that very seriously. So while we have our machine learning operations platform for enterprises, what we have done is we want to democratize generative AI. So we've been democratizing traditional AI. So we have a low code, no code. So we cater to full code, all the personas. But what we really want to do is we want to democratize generative AI. So we built a platform. It's called No Code Katonic Generative AI platform, where without any coding, right, you should be able to build all the use cases I talked about, extraction, ideation. So to begin with, we've started, our users build a chatbot with no code, no cost, right? And you will be now able to build a chatbot, and the use case can be to enable your employees, you discover your data, your knowledge, right, which you have for many, many years. Or it could be empowering your customers to do self-service Q&A, right, support and things like that. So that's where we've started, but definitely in next few weeks, we will cater to all the use cases which I talked about around extraction, ideation, and all those 4 or 5 use cases categories I talked about. Yeah.
That's really interesting, and that's pretty much it for the set questions that I had. So we'd actually gone out to the audience earlier to go and ask for some of the audience questions. So hope it's okay if I ask you some of them. So the
Yes.
first one was, let's have a look. I work as a HR manager. What are some use cases for the HR function with regards to generative AI?
Okay, great. So this is great. HRs work very hard, and like I again said, every time you think of use cases, you need to think of these categories. So as a HR, right? I'm assuming if you're an HR for a pretty large organization, there'll be a lot of policies, right? And many times, although everything is documented and there are policies, not every event happens regularly. So you're not aware of all the policies yourself, because there are events which happen once in a while, right? So what you could essentially do is you can actually use generative AI to feed all your policies, and you can either use and build a chatbot, right? And the good thing about using Katonic platform is that your data never leaves your premises or Katonic cloud. So it's not like you're giving away your data to ChatGPT or someone else, and it's out there for everyone. It is still going to be secure on your premises, and now you can either use it to ask questions which your employees are asking, and then you can use that to enable you to answer your employees, or you can take it to a next step where you can make it a self-service for employees to ask questions on policy. And the good thing about generative AI is You can build this app yourself. There's no training required, and the conversation, you don't need to have any kinds of training, and employees can have conversation like they're chatting normally, and generative AI will automatically pick the right answer, and send it across to them. So that's one use case. The other use case could be in the recruitment. So if you're hiring a lot of people, you get a lot of resumes. You might want to extract information from resumes to kind of rank them so that everybody gets the right opportunity. Because typically, when you're recruiting, you get a lot of resumes. You are either biased with the resumes which are in the end or which in the beginning, right? So if you want to give a fair chance to everyone, you can create an extractive generative app. Maybe later, in few weeks when it's ready, we'll show you a demo. For now, we offer only chat, and you can extract information and put that into a CSV, and you can start asking questions saying, can you tell me 5 employees who have these skills, and generative AI will be able to actually retrieve that information and give it to you, right? So that's another way. So there are many other use cases in the ideation. If you're looking at doing an event, right? I'm sure as an HR, you're probably doing a lot of event. You can use generative AI for ideas around events, naming the events, titles of the events, blogs, engaging the employees, games. You can even write a poem for your organization. So there is so much you can do with generative AI. And what we want to do is we want to put all this in your hands, so that, because nobody knows your organization and use cases, right? And we want to enable you to do self-service and build all the things which I talked about. That's the whole idea, Andrew, behind Katonic. Yeah.
That's really insightful, and yeah, there's a lot of different examples that you've provided there. And I think the key to what you're sort of saying is that personalization. So on that line of thought, the second question from the audience is also around specific use cases, but looks like it's more for a smaller business. So the question is, I run a small business. How can I leverage generative AI for my business?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, Katonic, we are a startup. We are a 3-year-old, and when we started, we were small, right? In fact, a startup has more challenges and resource constraints than a small and medium business, right? And AI definitely can help you in many ways. So again, if I look at different functions for small business, I think the key is to increase revenue, right? Increase awareness. So if you look at technology is just a means, right? In the end, as a small business, you want to keep your customer happy, your employee happy, you want to increase your brand awareness, or you want to increase your sales, or you want to reduce the cost and increase the profit, right? So these are the levers. Now, what you could do is you could use generative AI in your marketing, right, to help you come up with campaign ideas. You can use generative AI for segmentation. You can use classifying capability of generative AI to classify your customers so that you can have very targeted campaigns, right? You can use generative AI to draft emails. You can say, okay, for this particular segment, I would like you to write an email proposing, why you should buy what you're selling, right? You could use for writing blogs. You could, so this is more on the text. You could actually, so if you're so there is a small and medium business, what they are doing is, they are using generative AI. Stable diffusion is one of the popular model where you give a prompt and it creates an image for you. So they are using for ideating different kinds of clothes. So they wanted to have a pajama with red dots there, right? And they wanted to see what kind of designs you could do. And traditionally, you would hire a designer to do that. But as a small and medium business, you can't afford to do that. So what you could do is you could use generative AI to give prompts and say, look, I'm looking at doing a pajama with red, dots, and you can give that specification, and generative AI will actually show you some of the examples, and then you can use that to build the product. There's another company called Midjourney, which essentially uses prompts to design. And I did see one furniture company play around with Midjourney to come up with sofas which look like fruits. I'm sure they did not manufacture them because this was a recent phenomenon. But if somebody manufactures them and if they're cozy, I wouldn't mind buying them and paying a premium. So marketing, product development, even on the, like, if you have a nice little product, you can use generative AI to remove the background, and you can say, generative AI, can you put my product on a marble behind a beach? So you can use that. There are companies using generative AI for that. You can use generative AI to improve your website, right? You can use generative AI to write emails. You can even use generative AI to train your salespeople and come up with ideas. So look, there is so much generative AI can do for a small and medium business, be it awareness, be it product development, be it sales, website, right? Ideation, extraction. I think one of the big problem for small and medium businesses is there is so much of information out there, and you don't have time to go through all of that. So you can always bring all that information in one place, have a chatbot to kind of have a conversation. So look, the possibilities are unlimited. Different small and medium businesses have different needs, but definitely with these categories, I'm sure you'll be able to benefit from it.
Yeah, I'm loving the use cases, and it's almost like the world is your oyster with generative AI. I mean,
Absolutely.
you did mention that the platform's not quite available yet. The next audience question was, when will the Katonic AI be available? Katonic AI, generative AI, be available to the public?
Look, we've been working very hard. You can see all the dark circles which have got. So we're almost there. We've completed our testing. We will be launching beta next week. It's currently being tested in a closed group. So it's just few more days, and please do provide your email ID on our website, and definitely as soon as we launch, we will inform you. So we are probably a week away. Next week is when we should be able to do. And like I said, we start with chatbot because when we did a survey and we wanted to decide which should be the first use case, I think there was a unilateral feedback that you should go with chatbot. So we start with chatbot, and then we'll keep adding other ability to build other use cases as well. So Andrew, it's just next week. Today's just few more days to go. Yeah.
Look, that's great. And then the inevitable question, how much is it going to cost?
Look, what we definitely want to do is we want to democratize, and democratizing AI means you definitely have to offer. So we are offering a free version of the platform where you'll have ability to build one application at a time, and you can always delete and build. And so it is going to be free, and you will be able to benefit from the generative AI. And if you see a lot of value, if you see value in it, and if you want to do more, of course, we'll have plans which will suit your needs, Andrew. That's the plan. Yeah.
No worries. And just the final audience question, do you have any enterprise solutions at the moment, and how do you work with large enterprises?
Yeah, definitely. Look, see, Katonic is focused on enterprises because enterprises are looking at AI and generative AI now. For enterprises, because of regulations and things like that, small and medium businesses are comfortable in using Katonic Cloud to do generative AI, but enterprises want Katonic or Katonic-like applications to be installed. So we are infrastructure agnostic. We can install anywhere. So we typically install on enterprises. So we have so while we are offering this no-code generative AI platform where you can build all the use cases I talked about, it is good if you're a small and medium business or if you're an individual. But as your data goes up, and also the security, right? Because a bank will never let their data to come onto Katonic Cloud, although we are an ISO 27001 and we have all the certification. They would want all the data to be there. So Katonic actually installs where the data is. But more importantly, when the amount of data goes up, the compute, the challenges around compute comes up, and also the challenges around retraining, right? So if you have built a bot which is catering to your external customers, right? So you need to continuously, if you're a small and medium business, you can go and rebuild it with additional data you have. But if you're a large organization, the amount of data which is getting created on a regular basis, you need to have automated retraining, right? You need to ensure that your generative AI model or the chatbot is retrained with new data so that it is able to answer, questions up to the mark. So generative enterprises have its own challenges around security, infrastructure, retraining, monitoring, responsible AI. And we have Katonic machine learning operations platform which we offer. We have a no-code generative AI platform for small and medium businesses and individuals, and we have a Katonic enterprise generative AI platform which caters to the needs of enterprises where they need. And also, while we are democratizing, there are more complex things like fine-tuning on large language model. I think we didn't talk much about large language models. So essentially, ChatGPT is trained on open source models, right? So there is an open source model called GPT-4. So technically, if you had enough money, you could take GPT-4 and, with all the world's data, you could train and create a competitor for ChatGPT, right? But enterprises are looking at using these open source tools to create specialized models, not to solve the entire world's problem like ChatGPT, but specialized problems like in banking and others. So that requires a lot of compute GPUs, and that's where Katonic's enterprise version comes in. So a short answer to your question is yes, we are focused on enterprise, but the no code is more targeted towards SMB to democratize, AI and make it available to everyone. Right? Yeah.
Now that's really exciting, Prem, and thank you so much for taking us through the product suite and telling us about generative AI. It's such an exciting time. It's obviously only just launched, and it's really cool that you guys have created this suite of products that help people to personalize and generate their own generative AI models. So looking forward to the product launch. If anyone is interested in the Katonic Generative AI product, by all means, you can sign up on the waiting list or the email list by registering on the Katonic AI website. What I'll do is I'll just pass it on to Kash to wrap up this part of the session. And yeah, I believe there's going to be a demo afterwards as well. So Sid, if you can just add Kash back on, that would be excellent.
Thank you so much, Prem. Thank you, Andrew. That was fantastic. I hope everyone in the audience also got something out of that. As Prem mentioned and Andrew mentioned, the demo is coming up. So stick on by and we'll show you the demo as well.
Thanks a lot, Cash. It's demo time. I love demos. Nothing like showing things in action. So before I start, with the demo, I think we should spend a little more time, although we had some good conversation with Andrew and some great questions from the audience here. But I still think that there are a few missing pieces which I couldn't cover as part of the question and answers. So let me spend like 5 to 10 minutes demystifying some of the concepts like LLMs, foundation models, and how to get started, and then jump into a demo. Yeah. So with that, let me share my screen. Yeah. Here we go. So firstly, just a quick reminder to all of you that, Katonic was, awarded as one of the best MLOps player in APAC. And we were one of the major contenders in Everest Peak Metrics as well. So just wanted to remind all of you there. So talking about generative AI, look, there's been a lot of work being happening on transformers, generative AI in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe more, right? But then what really changed the moment, which really changed and brought generative AI to the mainstream is ChatGPT, right? I'm sure all of you have used ChatGPT in some form or the other. There's a tool from Google as well called BART. And essentially, it is trained on huge amount of data and it mimics human behavior. And that's where, people have really got fascinated and started benefiting from it. So, what ChatGPT did in 2 months, they acquired 100 million customers. It took Uber about 7 years to do that, right? So that's the power of, generative AI. And see, ChatGPT is actually built on a foundation model, right? So there are a lot of open source large language models or foundation models they call. So GPT-3 is one of them. So what ChatGPT did was took a GPT foundation model and trained a lot of data which was available to them. And I'm sure it took them years and a lot of GPUs to make that happen. And what it means is that now they build a model which understands and which is trained on a lot of data, which can do a wide variety of tasks, right? So now, you can ask this chat GPT or the large language model to, classify a sentiment for a paragraph or for an email, extract entities, do question answering, all the things which I talked about during the previous discussion, right? So what's exciting about generative AI is unlike earlier, if you had to build a use case like a year back or 2 years back, if you had to build a classification use case, you had to have a lot of data, create a lot of training data and train a particular model. And, organizations were building models specific to use cases and it took them months and years to do that, right? But, the good thing about generative AI is it doesn't take months and years. You don't need a lot of data. You don't need a lot of, data scientists. All you need to do is if you're able to converse in English, you just need to, give them instructions in the form of prompts and it will do the job for you. That's how easy it is. So that's the good news. And even the better news is that, while ChatGPT is fantastic, right, it's not alone. There are a lot of large language models or generative AI models out there for, images, videos. Here I'm sharing some of them. And it's very exciting. In my opinion, this particular, what Windows did to the data processing activities, and what internet did to the communication activities, and what mobile did to Ubers, right? Or it's probably the other way. Uber came because of the disruption which mobile phone cost. Google's and Amazon's came because of the disruption which internet cost, and there'll be a lot of multi-billion-dollar companies now being formed with the disruption which LLM is creating, right? And it's not just a large billion-dollar companies will be formed, but all businesses will start using, just like how everyone uses internet, everyone will start using generative AI to improve their productivity. Right, there's a lot of use cases. I talked about them. I talked about HR. I talked about customer service. I'll share this deck with you. I think the focus today more is on how you can get started, right? So while ChatGPT created so much of excitement, right? There's a lot of organizations who have started banning ChatGPT, Samsung, Apple, Blackwords, right? And a lot of companies in Australia and around the world. Not because they don't see ChatGPT as something which is not useful, but the problem with ChatGPT is that you're calling an API and you're giving away your information to a third party and you don't know what happens to that information, right? And there has been instances around security. So there are three key problems with consuming, right? I call it consuming services like ChatGPT and or Bard, right? One, security, you're giving away your data. Two, privacy, right? Three, cost, and of course there could be latency. And the fourth problem is accuracy, right? You don't know how they will behave, right? So that's a problem. But unfortunately, while chat GPTs are being banned, every organization has realized that they have to start adopting generative AI or they'll be left behind. They have no option. They have to, right? And this is a screenshot of the productivity gain which you can gain across various industries. There is on an average 40% of working hours can be saved by using large language models, right? So that's amazing. So the future belongs to people who can actually use generative AI to do things faster, quicker, and better, right? And so for you to get value from large language models, so essentially there are three options available for you, right? The first option is very simple. So you can start consuming ChatGPT, Bard, Midjourney, right? They're closed source. They offer you managed service, so you can just pay dollars and then start consuming that, right? The other option for you is there's a lot of open source large language models out there. You can take one of them, fine tune it for your branding, because it is very important for generative AI to talk your brands, because soon everyone and all your competitors will be using generative AI. And if you don't have your brand voice in the content generated, the customers will get turned off, right? They're going to go away from you. So it's very important. But then it's a journey. You start with something easy, and then eventually you can take these open source model, fine tune them, give them your brand voice, give them your brand personality, right? And the third option is build your own. So if you have a lot of data and if you want to build something, because in the fine tuning you're just retraining some of the layers, but you can actually, if you have large amount of data like what Bloomberg did and few of the banks did, you can actually train models from scratch, and it can actually be a business opportunity. The way you could monetize data in the past by exposing it through an API, now you can actually monetize the data by building a GPT or a generative AI model on that data and monetizing that. But doesn't matter what option you use, you need a tech stack which can help you consume this. Either you consume or fine tune or build from scratch. You need a tech stack, and that's where companies like Katonic come in. And you definitely need to start, looking at either a machine learning operations platform, because generative AI is a subset of machine learning operations platform, or a generative AI platform which can actually do, the infrastructure and the hosting and things like that. So now, okay, what are the options? So as a business, you want to start, you got excited. You said, yeah, Prem, I like this session. I want to start with generative AI. How do I start? So look, you can start, the easiest way to start is just consume what is available out there, right? So you can start playing around with ChatGPT, you can play around with Bard, you can consume Palm, you can consume OpenAI, which is what powers these two big chains, and you can start experimenting with that. That's the easiest way to do. Of course, it has its own benefits and challenges. I'll talk about that. The benefit is that there is no training required. You can quickly start. So it's cheap, but obviously there's limitation. You can't have your data go out. There's privacy issue and things like that. And the other option is to actually start consuming these models, right? Large language models, by putting appropriate guardrail and audit trail, and then ensuring that they're restricted in what they do. right? And that's where you can have prompts and restrictions and guardrails to ensure that your employees are responsibly using it, and there's an audit trail, and that's where Katonic can play a role here, and I'll show you a demo of how that can be done, right? On the other interesting use case is that while these chat GPTs and bards are great, they don't know, they're not up to date, right? So chat GPT was up to date until 2001 data, right? It doesn't know about what's happening in your organization today, and more importantly, most of the organizations have a lot of data which is specific to their organization, which these large chat GPT kind of models don't have. So what you could do is, and that's where platforms like Katonic come in, where we can take all your data, convert that into embeddings, which is nothing but small pieces, and put them into a vector database, which these chat GPTs and bards of the world can understand. And the data never leaves your premises, but at the same time, we use this, the power of these large language models to kind of do question and answer, be your personal assistant, or help you write tweets and things like that, right? So this is one of the most popular way of doing it. In the demo, I will show you how can you build a chatbot using this augment method by yourself in 5 minutes. And the next one, of course, my favorite is fine tuning. Like I said, every brand will be using generative AI, and if you don't have your brand, if your generative AI is not talking about your brand, your customers will tune off. So, you can take any of these large language models, and you can actually take your data and train them and build a specific model which speaks your brand language and generates content based on your brand, and users can interact with that. So this is called fine tuning, and of course, it has its own benefit. It is expensive. Not so expensive like building from scratch, but it requires data working. You need a platform and things like that. I'll share this deck. You can go through in detail. And of course, the last one is to build it from scratch. Open AI or Chat GPT was built from scratch with 1000 GPUs using a technology called Ray, RAY. And Katonic offers Ray out of the box. You can spin hundreds and thousands of clusters of Ray. You can technically build, if you had enough data, you could build a model from scratch, but we strongly don't recommend organizations to start with this. This is more for matured organizations who have done some experimentation, played around, have a better understanding of generative AI, and this is when you can then graduate to, right? Of course, there are examples like Biomed LM, Bloomberg GPT, who have actually created models from scratch and started offering this to their customers, right? Of course, this has its own limitations, challenges. Of course, cost is a big driver here. I'll let you read more. You can download this from our website after the session. So that's, I think that gives a little bit of background of demystified what is LLM, what is foundation model. So it's demo time. So before I do the demo, so Katonic, essentially helps organizations accelerate their generative AI. There are three key tools which we offer as of today. One is Katonic LLM Playground, where we have taken all the popular large language models and put it in one place for you to play around for free. We have a no-code generative AI platform. I'm going to show you a demo. And for enterprise users, Katonic platform installs on their enterprise, and we can build complex generative AI use cases, traditional AI use cases, combination of that. So that's where we are. So it's time to start the demo of Katonic LLM Playground. So let me quickly share the screen. Okay, here we go. So this is Katonic Playground, and it's free for everyone to use. It's playground.katonic.ai. And once you go in here, you'll see a lot of models here. And what we have done is, so see, this space is evolving. There are so many open source, large language models being open sourced every day. It's very hard for anyone to keep track. In fact, it's very hard for companies like us also to keep track, because there's so much going on. So what we have done is we've made your life easy by bringing in all the popular large language models, not just limited to text, but image, voice, all in one place, so that you can actually start playing around with them and start experimenting with them. And remember, these are foundation models. You have to build an application using this, right? So you can either fine tune these models, or you can deploy these models on your infrastructure, or Katonic can deploy on our infrastructure and give it to you in an API, and you actually integrate and infuse this into your organization. So let's say, for example, one of my favorite model is Stable Diffusion, right? It's open source. It helps you basically, it takes your input and creates an output. So let's say if you are a retailer, and if you are looking at, looking at ideas to kind of design pajamas, right? So what you could do is red dotted pajamas. You can put this here, and then you can say how many outputs you want, and then you press enter. And what we do is essentially based on your input, the stable diffusion will create an output. And now you as a retailer, you can actually use this for inspiration. So we just created, red dotted pajama ideas for you if you're a retailer, right? Similarly, ChatGPT 4 is actually trained on, ChatGPT is trained on GPT 6 GPT open source model. We have open source that here. We have put that here for you to play around. There are many others which are popular. Vicuna is one of my favorite. Dolly, which is claiming to be more accurate than GPT in certain tasks. And one of my other favorite is ControlNet, where you can upload your photo of a house, and then you can say, I want it more modern, more elegant. And based on the prompts, the entire the model will then actually, redesign the entire, create a new photo with the prompts you have given. So you can actually use, things like this. So if you're a retailer, you could use this and integrate it as part of your website. So if you like, you're free to play around. Gives you a good understanding of what AI can do for gaming companies, for retailers, for banks. There's a use case for everyone. And if you like any of these models and you want to deploy them, reach out to us. We can deploy them for you. Any of these models or any of the model available in the market. And also, there's a lot of new models coming in, and then it's very difficult to track, what model performs how. So what we've done is we've created this Katonic leaderboard, LLM leaderboard, right, which is on the playground. When you land on the playground for the first time, you'll see here. And what we've done is we've essentially, there are different techniques of testing a particular LLM. You can read about them. So we essentially rank all the popular LLMs. So today, Falcon $40 billion. I talk only dollars. A 40 billion parameter model is one of the most popular, and it's open source. So if you are an organization and if you really don't want to use ChatGPT or OpenAI or Bard or Palm, we can definitely, deploy Falcon for you and fine tune Falcon for you for your use case, or you can use Falcon for your tasks. Yeah. So that's Katonic playground. Let's go back to the PPT. And so let's talk about the Katonic no-code generative AI platform. So Katonic no-code generative AI platform, like I said, is a platform where you can build generative AI applications with no knowledge of coding. That's the beauty. So let's do one thing. Let's go to the platform here. Let me log out so that you can all see how it looks when you're logging in. So we are launching this for free in next week. So stay tuned. If you've signed up for this webinar on LinkedIn, you will get an email with the details. So let's log in. So this is how you log into the platform. And when you log in to the platform, we've kept the UX very simple. And remember, this is beta, so there are still minor bugs which we are fixing and collecting feedback. So it's very simple. So what we are trying to do is essentially build a chatbot. Now this chatbot can be a personal bot which can answer questions on data you have uploaded. It could be a question and answer bot, or it could be a customer facing bot which lets customer do a certain thing, ask questions, right? So it's very simple. So you just click create generative AI. So you have these three options. So today, like I said, we're launching with chat. Soon we will be having search. Soon you will be able to do fine tuning, but more importantly, we'll be adding more use cases around extraction and things like that. So this is where we are. So let's say you are a retail company and you have launched a new product, and you want to train your employees, or your employees want to actually use ChatGPT or generative AI to kind of use that for marketing, for sales, for customer interaction, right? So let's take an example of Apple Vision Pro, right? So I'm sure all of you have heard of Apple Vision Pro. I have heard. I'm a big fan of Apple. Unfortunately, I have not got time to really understand what this whole thing means. So what I've done is, what I'm going to do is build a chatbot along with you, which can answer things about Apple Vision Pro, right? So let's go back to the model, the platform. So what we're trying to do is we are trying to build Apple Vision, give a project name, Vision Pro bot. Yeah, select chat, go to create. Now here, what we let you do, and remember, any data which you upload here or any websites or SharePoint, whatever you upload here, the data resides only on Katonic Cloud and never shared outside Katonic. And if you want, of course, there's a restriction, so you can only upload, in the free version, you can only upload up to 20 MB of data and 5 URLs. If you want more quota, please reach out to us. Or if you want this entire platform to be installed on your premises, And if you want to, have your employees build chatbots, we can help with you as well. So it's very simple. All you need to do is put that website here, press enter, and if you have brochures of that particular product, you can upload that here. It's as simple as that. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to upload brochures, but you can always play around. It's a free version. And then you click next. And once you click next, there is chatbot filter and personalization. So this is where you really personalize and bring in the guardrails for your chatbot. So here, let's call it Apple Vision Pro Bot. Yeah. And then you can, I know everything about Apple Vision Pro. Yeah. And then, of course, we don't want any hatred because if it is a customer facing, we want to ensure that there are proper guardrails. You can put your restrictions, and you can even decide of put the personality of your chatbot. So let's say confident and friendly, right? So any conversation which happens will happen in that tone. And of course, you can give further instructions if you want to restrict this bot to answer just troubleshooting questions, or you can do that. So I'll let you play around with it. So once you do that, you do next. The bot starts training. Takes very few minutes. Takes about a minute. Let's wait for 10-15 seconds. If it doesn't come up, I've already created a similar bot, and I'll run through that. So looks like it's going to take longer. It's a lot of users really excited about this. So I'll just go back and show you the bot which I've already built. So once the training is really complete, you get a button here which is called deploy, and once you click that, the model gets deployed and you end up in a screen like this. So here, if you see, once the model is deployed, of course, you can click here and start chatting with the model, but you can always, you can get the APIs, you can start, integrating this API into your chatbot if you already have one, into your website, into your applications and whatnot. And, there is also, logs to see what's happening, and there is usage and monitoring, of the APIs. So I'll talk about it. So let's go to the chat. So here is the chat. So when you click this, you end up here. This is the bot which I have created. Now let's ask you questions. So the first one I probably want to ask is, what is the benefits of Apple Vision Pro? Yeah, let's do that. So now what's happening is, our platform is taking is using the power, so power of, the LLM. And what we do is, sorry, I'll just go back. So during the creation, you actually decide and advise what LLM you want to use. So you can use open source LLM, or you can let Katonic decide the best LLM. So now here what we're doing is we are using your data which is residing on Katonic Cloud and using the power of these large language generative AI models to give you answers on the data which you have uploaded. So in this case, it gave me a good answer. But look, I'm a salesperson, and I want to write an email to my customers telling them how good this product is, and I want them to buy, right? So I'll say, can you draft an email for a customer talking about the benefits of the Vision Pro, right? No, don't worry about English, don't worry about spellings. It's NLP. It automatically understands what you're saying. And what essentially I want to do is, I'm a salesperson here at Apple. I want to send an email out to all my current leads, telling them, look, we've launched this new product, please buy. So I've asked ChatGPT to help me, and that's what is happening. So let's give it a few minutes. And I'm sure the email. And of course, if you don't like the output, you can always regenerate by clicking here. You can change the prompts. It's all about playing around. Okay, here we are. So it says we are excited to introduce to the latest, and it talks about the benefits. Amazing, right? Now let's say you're in marketing, and then you launch this new product, and you want to do tweets every day, but as a small company you don't have a marketing department. So what you can do is, can you draft 10 tweets for the above? The good thing is it understands the context, so you don't have to, it's not dumb, so it understands the context. You can have multiple chats here. You can always go back to the previous chat. Uh, Let me just here. Yeah, so you can have multiple chats. You can always go back to the previous chat. So here we go. So we have some of the suggestions for tweets. So it's given me 10 tweets. Transform your surrounding with Apple's new environment feature. Choose your selection. So look, it's so easy, right? Now I'm able to draft emails. So I can. So let's say, uh, you know, I want to know 5 benefits. So 5 benefits of using Vision Pro. And all this, I built it in 2 minutes with publicly available information. Imagine if you spent a little more time, gave it a good personality, proper instruction, uploaded all your documents. Imagine what it can do for you. So as a business, right, this is one of the most secure and cost-effective way to actually start, leveraging, generative AI. And as you graduate, of course, we can, work with you to, host the open source models, fine tune them. And if you're really ambitious, we can even build one for you from scratch, right? So I think, I'll just wait for this. So while this is coming up, just wanted to spend few more minutes. Like I said, it is resources. So you can actually, look at the consumption of the resources, how many APIs are being called. You can actually look at the monitoring. And if you're not like if you're done with like you could create multiple bots, and if you're done with that, you can just go ahead and delete it, and then you can just go ahead and delete the project. And in the free version, you can actually it lets you build one. So at any given point of time, if you already created one, you can delete it, and then you can go for it. So look, I think that completes the demo. Thanks a lot. It was a lot. I really enjoyed presenting our platform. Do go play around with playground.katonic.ai. Also, just keep an eye on our LinkedIn, follow our page, and soon we'll be launching this free version of the platform for you to play around. I'm keen to get your feedback and look at like I said in the beginning. Before AI, the focus for businesses was automation. With traditional AI, the focus of the businesses was augmenting their employees to make decisions using AI. And with generative AI, the focus of businesses is to improve the productivity of employee. What it means is that every business and every employee can benefit from it. And the best way to do that is start experimenting. Think of a use case, sign up for Katonic, start playing around building chatbots, and that's how you start your journey. So thanks a lot. Thanks again, Cash. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Boab. And thanks everybody for asking interesting questions. Until then, until a new session webinar comes in, you guys take care and enjoy playing with the generative AI. Thank you. Bye-bye.